A very good evening, all dear participants of AICTE ATAL FDP 2022-23. I welcome you all to the day 3 of the online mode session of a Bolward to Neoteric Geotechnical Engineering. This online mode has commenced on December 19th and will proceed till December 24th. Followed by it, we have the offline mode that is at our college campus, Meenakshi Sundarajan Engineering College, from December 26th to 30. Before I introduce the chief guest of the day, let me share a few words about our institute and our beloved secretary, Dr. K.S. Babai ma'am. Dr. K.S. Babai, as our secretary, has given valuable support and esteemed presence with more great and established values to the Department of Civil Engineering and strengthening every academic year. And I also thank Dr. L. Ramajam sir, Dean and HOD, for their for his immense support in conducting this program. My sincere thanks to Dr. R. Arivalagan sir, Associate Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, for giving this wonderful proposal and gaining the acceptance from the AICTE for this 2 week faculty development program. I extend my supportive thanks to my organizing committee and dear participants. So, now it is time to introduce the guest of the day, Engineer A. Shivaditya Kumar sir. Sir, let me share a small PPT about you. Sir, can you hear me?
I think Savan, yeah, your voice is breaking down a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Um,
There was a small technical
uh,
glitch from my side. Sorry, sir. Now, let me introduce you, sir. 1 second, sir.
but
Sir, now is it audible now, sir?
yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, sir. Okay. To share a few words about our speaker of the day, Mr. Shivaditya Ashok Kumar, presently working as engineer in Kovi, India. He had worked as an engineer in Tata Consulting Engineers India from the year 2015 to 2018. He had completed his M.Tech in Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, in soil dynamics. He had finished his BE Anna University in civil engineering. He got the membership in Institution of Civil Engineers, UK, member of Indian Geotechnical Society. At present, he is employed for an ongoing project as an engineer representing COVI checks in HS2 Project UK for numerous geotechnical structures. He was also employed as an engineer for the extension of the existing harbour area in Denmark in the year 2020 by COVI. He was appointed as engineer in finite element analysis of well foundation in Plaxis 3D for the construction of new four-lane bridge across River Ganga on NH 133B made by the Kovi in the year 2020. He also worked as an engineer for the analysis of slope stability of ash bund for thermal power plant storage and so on. With this short introduction, I hand over the session to our speaker of the day, Mr. Shivaditya Kumar, engineer, Kovi, to deliver a topic on geotech, a transition towards sustainability and zero carbon. Thank you, sir, and welcome you all.
Thank you, Saran. Maybe I'll just switch on my camera too so that everyone can
Yeah,
see me. Um, yeah. Hi all. Good evening. Also, I thank you first for this opportunity to present this topic on geotech. That is a transition towards sustainability and zero carbon. It's slightly a very different topic which you usually don't see in geotechnical engineering. You won't even see actually in civil engineering sometimes. But in the recent times, you would have seen COP and all those things, which is actually is taking front in the global front, where they want to reduce the carbon footprint and other things. Make construction more sustainable. And so slowly it has also entered into the construction industry, and it has become a major trend. Also, like Saran told, just a short introduction about me was basically I'm from geotechnical background, a civil engineer with a geotechnical background. I've been working in power projects and infra projects too. So, like just like the topic, how it has become new. So for me also, I transitioned now from infrastructure projects into energy projects, and to to, to say more into offshore wind energy. So working more and more into that. Also, background of me is that I'm a numerical modeler in geotechnical engineering field. However, of course, I also do look into site investigations, create geotechnical data, interpreted reports, and balance the site situation along with the numerical modeling softwares. Try to bring more things into a realistic scenario. So the topic which I'm actually going to present is, it's new, but at the same time it has become a major trend right now in the industry. Everywhere we are looking into sustainability and zero carbon, and sustainability has become a major talk again. um, and the industry has adopted this it very quickly compared to other things, where the industry has been slow. Somewhere, the digital progress and all this digital tools were slow, but sustainability has picked up really fast. And I basically work for a European based firm called Covi, and we are, as an organization, really interested to do sustainable construction, and also uh, create create a better world for the future. And as a civil engineer, we not as a geotechnical or structure, but as civil engineer, basically create a better world for the future, for the future generation. So I'll just start presenting my screen now. um, I hope you should be able to see it now. Yes, I just started presenting it.
yes, you can see that.
So yeah, and the, now now you should be able to see the presentation too,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So yeah. So main topic, geotechnical, geotech transition towards sustainability and zero carbon. So basically, I will be talking about geotechnical engineering, yes, but there are a few things we have to first know what sustainability is, you know, and what zero carbon is, what carbon footprint is. So because without all that stuff, just talking about the geotechnical engineering would be wrong. And at the same time, I should also be talking, giving an introduction about what geotechnical is, because I also know that a lot of the audience may be in the civil engineering field, but they may be in other specializations of structures or environment, because sustainability and zero carbon is always linked to environment. But it is not so, it's also linked to other disciplines, which I will be, of course, presenting the slide on how we can actually you do sustainable construction. So I will be talking a little about geotechnical, just a brief introduction, because then it would help the audience to get an overall view. um, and just you know uh, disclosure now itself, I should tell that I prepared very short slides. I know the time duration for this presentation is 2 hours, but I feel that more than the just showing the slides, I would prefer questions, I would prefer interaction with the audience, and maybe I may be able to answer some, I may not be able to answer, but I would of course keep it in mind so that in future I can prepare for it. So feel free at any time to just stop me and ask things. I will try my best to answer, but yeah, feel free for general interaction. So just coming to the first slide. um, so basically, uh, geotechnical engineering, what it is. I know this may sound kind of yeah, it may be like a lot of you guys would already be knowing about it, but just for the, like I told, for other disciplines, geotechnical engineering is like a branch of civil engineering which is concerned with engineering behavior of the earth materials. Basically, whatever the mother earth has, whatever is being produced in its natural form, geotechnical engineer kind of studies it and understands the mechanical and engineering behavior of it. We basically deal with the strength criteria and stiffness criteria of the soil and rock, so that we can use it for the foundation analysis, and then basically support the structure engineering group. um, then it uses, like I told, the principles of soil mechanics and rock mechanics for the solution of its respective engineering problems. Though I told that in a very short 2 lines about geotechnical engineering, it's very expansive field, and it's growing more and more as we are seeing new technologies, new research, new case studies. Um, so it's a massive field. And though it has branched out from civil engineering, it plays a very close interaction with the other disciplines of civil engineering, like environment, coastal, transportation, structural. So yeah, it's one of the most important part of civil engineering. Second thing is, I just placed just to show you how massive geotechnical engineering is. One is a huge tunnel which is being constructed. I cannot share the location, but basically I cannot disclose the location, but it's a huge tunnel which is being constructed somewhere in northern part of India. That then there is then there is another, the down you can see a earthen dam. You can see the massive dam, how it is, how it's just a earthen material which is being used. It's an earthen, complete earthen dam, not a concrete dam, but a complete earthen dam. It's a Teri dam which is in Uttarakhand. The special feature of this dam is it's in a mountain terrain, and at the same time it's on a fault zone. So you can see how much of engineering work would have gone into it to making it specifically strengthened for seismic conditions. And it's been continuously monitored, because it's on a fault zone. But that's the Teri dam, which is one of the highest, maybe it is the highest dam in India. And it supplies water to most of the mountainous regions in Uttarakhand. Um, then coming to the next slide. Um,
Online meetings
yes,
சொன்னாங்க.
most important thing. This I don't want to keep it in the end because just to show you how important geotechnical engineers are as a whole, all the engineers, not only civil engineers but mechanical, electrical engineers. I just want to tell you that geotechnical engineers as well as our engineers have been, they've been continuously supporting the field activities even during COVID. It's been a year, but you can just understand how difficult it was, since a lot of you may be, be on the budding stream of engineering, and you're going to choose a career. But just to tell you that it's never easy, but it is also feels good to support the people in the field during such a scenario. Organizations, both private and government, have been extending a lot of support to the engineers at the field. So first, I would actually give a heartfelt thanks to all the engineering services and organizations for the support and for whatever we did. So just to tell you that it's not only I see in the news organizations like of field of medicines, doctors, nurses have been support. It's also engineers who are there working continuously to hold the infrastructure, to hold the economy, to continuously churn the economy, keeping the wheels moving for the organization, and as for the whole country to grow, for the whole world to grow, because finally supply and demand has to be met, right? So thank you all. um, Next, talking about sustainability. So here in this slide, um, the main information which I want to share is basically a definition of sustainability. People always relate it to environment, thinking, yeah, environment is the most important thing. But when we talk about sustainability, it actually stands on three pillars. So environment is of course one of the pillar, the second is the economy, and third is the society. So all these three pillars actually form a sustainability, and all these three are a separate category. As as a as individual thing, they stand separately. Environment sustainability is important, economic sustainability is important, society sustainability is important. So if one of them, these are three pillars, if one of them falls, and the other two will not be able to balance. So all the three are required, all the three need to be there for the development of development of any entity as a whole. So what sustainability actually means is, first, a general term. It means meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of the future generations, um, to meet their own needs. In addition to the natural resources, we also need social and economic resources. So that's what I was talking about. So it's just not about you do you become very environment friendly, but you also need to have a economy balance, economical balance. Everyone should not be one. It should not be like completely someone is rich and completely someone is poor, but there should be a balance in the society, you know so that everyone can contribute. It's not because someone doesn't want, it's like they don't want to, like, what do you say, fall behind, but it's the economy has to be maintained so that everyone can contribute for the society. And society as a whole, it means that everyone and this to grow. So we need that importance, and that is what we are nations. We also and
వస్తుంది.
I will actually be talking
హ్మ్. 2 దినందున్నాను.
construction, how they give you some and second thing is due to confidentiality aspects, I won't be able to talk about or name the projects, but I can just
హ్మ్.
tell you in details in a general way, which can
చెప్పేసేయండి.
actually, which is
హ్మ్.
sufficient at this stage for
అవును.
people to understand. Yeah, so just coming to the next slide.
లేదు లేదు వస్తుంది.
um,
అవును.
Yes. Well, so first, most
ఎక్కడ
important thing, of
అవతల
course, the environmental
ఒకటి
sustainability.
వస్తుంది.
So ecological integrity is maintained. All of Earth's environmental systems are kept in balance, while the natural resources within them are consumed by humans at a
అవును.
rate where they are able to replenish themselves. So, for
ఓకే.
so yeah, it's looks like a very complicated term, but I'll just tell you that. Um, for example, a live example, you know that in Chennai recently we had some stormwater drains construction and everything. So as a civil engineer, what would you do is, when a stormwater drain, suddenly you see a tree is falling in between, between a junction of a stormwater drain which you want to actually continue. I've seen some, what, as a civil engineer, what the best aspect is: don't cut the tree, remove the tree from its root, wrap it up in geosynthetics, take it to another location, or keep it in another location, construct your drain, bring it back, plant it again, or plant it in another location, but don't cut the trees. So, this is just an example of how a civil engineer can control the environmental aspects of any construction. You know, this is just a simple example. So, people will tell that time is money. People will tell that uh, it is too costly. People will tell that it's just a tree. What I would suggest to everyone is that tree took 25 years to 30 years to grow. You won't be able to produce that tree in just 3 minutes. It will take 30 years for the tree to grow. It will take 30 years for the tree to produce the same amount of oxygen
ఏంటి ఆపోజిట్?
for your generation, for your future generation, for your children to play on the trees. So in the construction industry, sometimes we take it very light, where we just see you know uh, things created by mother nature as a barrier. What I would suggest is, uh, s- it becomes a barrier only when we don't plan things properly. So we should plan things accordingly in such a way that all these aspects are brought into nature of the construction organization, and that is what environmental sustainability in construction industry is. So uh, many of you will actually join organizations, so keep these things in mind when you're actually doing a project, which is very important. Economic sustainability: human communities across the globe are able to maintain their independence and have access to resources that they require, financial and to meet their other needs. Economic systems are intact and activities are available to everyone, such as secure sources of livelihood. Um, so what it means is basically, along with the environment, you also need to grow your economy. So it doesn't mean that you just stop your construction, just focus growing trees. It means that you make a balance of creating green projects. I will of course be talking about it later, which can actually help your economy to grow. So what happens is, when you start on projects, large scale projects which are environmental friendly, it creates jobs, it creates resources, because it needs resources. It needs engineers, it needs electrical engineers, it needs mechanical engineers, it needs civil engineers, it needs construction workers, it needs planners, it needs business development managers, it needs marketing specialist, it needs digital specialist. So what happens is, as a whole, a single project will create a life source of, you know uh, economy for the entire group of that particular generation which has been waiting for the project. So that project has to be environment friendly, and it should be in such a large scale that it can create an economic sustainability. So that is what it needs. So when you, for example, again, when for example when we take any kind of small projects, let's just say we are creating a bridge. It means that the bridge, when it is able to connect uh, two locations, then what happens is the children are able to, in the hilly terrain, let's just say a bridge is constructed, and the children used to walk 45 to 50 kilometers to reach the school. They are just going over the bridge, across the bridge, in maximum 1 or 2 kilometers. The children study, then the children go to school, then the children pass out from the school, they go to college, then they come back to the same village, educated. They create, they get the money, they invest in their land, and that is how the economy starts building up. So that is how a small single bridge which is created by some civil engineer actually helps your economy to get sustainable. At the same time, the environmental sustainability is also required, where when you create a bridge, you should see that you don't bypass any, you don't close any rivers, you don't make any bunds, you don't destroy any trees. So this is what we are talking about. So this is the example of economic sustainability. um, Social sustainability, a very very important, one of the most important pillars, at least as per my understanding. you know Universally, human rights and basic necessities are attainable. Sometimes they are not attained, but we should ask. And healthy communities have just leaders who ensure personal labor and cultural rights are respected. So it also depends on the leaders, and all the people are protected from discrimination. Because uh, let's just say you're in a construction industry, there should be fair labor practices, there should be labor practices should be fair. Everyone should get proper salary. Okay. Then there should be a community engagement. People from different levels or different, they are working for a firm, but it doesn't mean that people who are working a different a different grades of that particular organization are treated differently. They should all be treated in the same way. And then there should be health and safety. So it means that in if you start a project, most important thing is health and safety. An engineer and a laborer should be given equal importance in health and safety, because a life is a life. It doesn't matter whose life it is. A life is a life. Each and every life should be given an importance, and it should all be respected. Then there's a diversity and inclusion and equality. So there should be an equality in the, there should be an equality, there should be diversity, there should be inclusion. um you know People from people from different places should gather together, because when you get different ideas, you get different people, you get different ideas, and that different ideas helps to bring infrastructure, helps to develop infrastructure. So that is the most important thing which is also required. And these, all these three aspects, environmental, economic and social sustainability, it forms you know importance. It forms, actually it looks like it's something new, but this was not this has not been addressed for quite some time. But now all these three are being addressed, and it is now a core idea of all the organizations now. Because I'm also from an organization in corporate field, and everyone is following these three things now, because this is very important for the future, for the future generation. So now coming back to the topic, sustainability, this is again slightly deviating. It's not geotechnical engineering, but civil engineering. Sustainability in civil engineering is first, it has to be understood, then I'll talk about the geotechnical part. um, every day, like I told you, the large scale projects are being put into action. To innovate and repair infrastructure is also required. So resources is required in the world. So all these things, what it does is it automatically, it creates job opportunities, it creates project planning, allows experts to ensure that each project is conducted using the safest and most environmental friendly and long lasting methods available. So when you talk about a project, you should see to it the project's lifespan is also higher, so that it is sustainable. Because once the lifespan gets over, then it always happens that the carbon footprint of a project gets, because you have to go under demolition, or you may have to go under rehabilitation of the structure. So it again increases the carbon footprint. So I'll be also talking about the carbon footprint, but just telling you that you have to see to it that your structures are lasting, your structures uh, are produced using recycled materials, your structures are environmentally friendly. Use research and innovation, very important. They have to, especially with the sustainability thing, people have been using geosynthetics, environmental friendly concrete, environmentally friendly, places where you can recycling the water for the construction industry, just so that, for example, in any construction field you see that they start boring and then they use the water out. So instead of that, you have to see that they kind of limit how much of the water they can actually use, and they can actually use it for the construction. They can see if, let's just say, a bit of alkaline or acidic water is available, how they can recycle it. For example, put alkaline material, put a little bit of acidic, natural acidic material, create it potable, or create it, you can use it for the construction industry, so that it saves the resources on repairs and construction reconstruction in the future. At the same time, it also extends the lifespan of the already completed projects. So all these things has to be, this forms the main core or idea of sustainability aspects. um, so when we talk about geotechnical sustainability aspects, we have to talk in terms of projects, because we need to talk in terms of projects, because there are different type of projects where the geotechnical engineers, they work in different perspectives. So one of the important things is like, when you talk about so the first two things which I'm going to talk about is from transportation projects. Transportation projects means automatically it means bridges, it means tunnels, it means roadways, it means embankments. So first thing is, I'm going to talk in terms of perspective of business units and types of projects. So one is, this example which I'm showing right now, it's called green bridges. This comes into the transportation industry. So the green bridges are also known as landscape bridges or wildlife overpass. It allows the birds, mammals, and insects to keep moving despite a railway or road being in the path. For example, you have a road which is actually crossing through a forest. Okay, but you have to understand that it crosses a hindrance to the wildlife which is already present there. Okay, there will be a tiger, a leopard, a wolf which is there, or it can even be a wild, there is wild buffaloes and everything which is there, deers are there. So all life is important, right? So sometimes a speeding car comes and it hits the wildlife resource, then what happens is it causes a ecological imbalance. Again, coming back to ecological imbalance, becomes to the ecological life balance. So what it does is it creates an important contribution. It creates a safe crossing point for the wildlife. It creates, it joins the habitats and connects colonies. It provides a home for the wildlife. It creates a crossing point for the people. It facilitates the movement of beneficial pollinators. Basically, I don't know if you know this, but um, the bees are actually getting extinct because people are not growing flowers. It is not, it's not, pollination is not happening. There will be a time where you won't be able to grow fruits, vegetables, because all depends on pollination. And anything, a flower has to bloom to become a fruit. So that is not happening because um, more and more concrete infrastructure is coming into picture. So this is actually very important thing which people, I mean, when I was small, I was able to see bees. near my house. I don't know how many of you guys are able to see at least, or are you even able to see in Chennai. But think about it. This is just something, for you all to think. Are you able to see the sparrows? Are you able to see the bees? Because if they are not there, then believe me, in few years the human beings won't be able to that. They won't be able to survive. Um, Whatever science can do an advancement using DNA splicing and everything, creating artificial fruits and vegetables, um, but uh, these resources are required, like just like I told, like a 20 or 30-year-old tree, you won't be able to bring the bees back. So these green bridges can actually help those insects, even those insects, to cross over, for pollination. It integrates the roads and railways with the surrounding landscape. So apart from that, it also makes things beautiful. You don't see everywhere gray concrete, you see nice green infrastructure which is built all around. And talking about, like, uh, where does the geotech come in this? What is this green bridges? This is a structural entity, right? So where is this green bridges? So the thing is, for the green bridges to construct, you should not excavate, or you should not, you know use too much of concrete material. Right now, the picture which you're seeing, unfortunately, it is just a superstructure, but inside, if you see, there's a foundation system. Okay. And when you use a foundation system, you have to get a good soil material there. You have to do the settlement analysis. You have to do you have to do the bearing capacity analysis, and that is where the geotechnical engineers come. So such a huge project creates huge amount of work for the geotech engineers, because again, since it's an environmental zone, you will have less amount of boreholes, less amount of geotechnical information sometimes to work on, because you cannot do geotechnical all around and creating holes and disturbing the wildlife. You have to see to it that how you get an optimum design with the minimum amount of data, how you can do proper analysis. um, for example, all the soil conditions may not be same. For example, there may be cut and fill slope stability analysis, which you need to use some softwares like GeoStudio or something like that, where you do a optimum limit equilibrium method to do a complete analysis. um, so this is just an example of how a geotechnical engineer can create a sustainable infrastructure. Again, you excavate a soil, you should see to it that that soil is reused again. Use it for the buns, use it for the fill material if the soil is good. Okay. So all these things plays a very important role, and that's where the geotechnical expertise comes into picture. Mm, yeah, this is again a very interesting infrastructure project which is happening not only in I don't know if it's happening in India, but it's happening in lot of parts of Europe. It's happening in UK, I know for sure. It's happening in Germany. Norway, yeah, Norway, it's happening. In Germany, it's happening. Yeah, it's happening there. So these are called green tunnels. Basically, it's cut and cover tunnels. So you don't use a huge TBM, tunnel boring machine, to just excavate through the, because it consumes fuel, it consumes resources. Okay. And so it's also difficult to do that. Sometimes you don't get environmental clearance. Cut and cover tunnels is nothing but you got this tunnels prefabricated in a yard. You bring those prefabricated tunnels components, you fix it, you fill the soil over, that's it. And then you grow a nice landscape over it. So that's what um, sorry that's what this green tunnel does. It basically it it creates a nice landscape. It creates a nice landscape for you know people, for the basically for the people to walk on over that. It can be people can see the nice environmental buns which is actually there. Okay. And it won't disturb the environment in any way. and also it's very quick to construct because you just cut the soil, put the concrete prefabricator structure, cover it up again, and that's it. Use geosynthetics and other aspects to you know, for the drainage and other aspects, and it's done and done. You use minimum amount of carbon for this, because there won't be much pollution here. uh, and of course, one important aspect is that when you actually do this, you should also know that as a geotech engineer, when it comes about cut and cover, again there's when you cut it, there's slope stability analysis to be done again. You have to also do a lot of geotechnical investigation to see whether what type of soil it is, whether it will behave, whether it will act accordingly with the structural interface. You also have to see to it that when you do the geotechnical investigations, where how much the water level is there, all this plays a very important factors. And again, that's how geotechnical engineers can contribute to a sustainable infrastructure. um, One more nice thing about this green tunnels is it can be used for roads. Yeah, it can be used for vehicles. It can also be used for rails. So there are some high speed trains which in which are kind of using these in Europe. And it actually helps, especially when you don't have much populated, too much of population is not there in the vicinity, then it's all these infrastructure are easy to create. So it's especially this is important for rural locations, where you get a large space and you can create this nice infrastructure, so that so that the environment is protected. And again, it again helps the wildlife. For example, you would have seen recently in the news or somewhere, I don't know, I've noticed that somewhere, someplace, I don't know whether it's there in India or someplace, I don't know. But whenever a high speed train comes, a cow gets attacked, then or something like that, because basically you got a crossing there, right? You got a rail crossing. So the animals and domestic animals also, including cows, are going to cross those rail tracks. You cannot control them. So you need such infrastructures where you cover it, and these animals are just going to cross over the bunds, because they are not going to be interacting with the trains. They have a nice landscape bund, so they just cross over like this. So they don't interact with the train, and they don't get hurt. So these are the simple logics which we need to use in uh, infrastructure industry, not only in India, everywhere, because this is just logical thinking. It's not something very technical too. It's just that you cover it, and you create a nice environment for these animals to cross. Going to cost you money. So as civil engineers, we need to propose such solutions for for people to understand and create this nice infrastructure. So yeah. Now, this again is nice picture of how this. So you can see these tunnels are built. It's actually a cross section, but you can see that you got a nice road pass, and people are cycling, and there's a separate path for pedestrians. Especially, pedestrians are finding it very difficult in cities, because bikes are going on the pedestrian path rather than on the road, because the road is not good. So think about it. Again, we need a quality construction for the safety. And this is the social sustainability which I'm talking about. um, Not only the environmental sustainability, everyone is important. So people who are on the pedestrian path, people sometimes, people going on cars, they don't, I guess, feel that equality, but that equality is required. Okay, as an engineer, think about is your duty to geotechnical scopes, which is involved in all this stuff, whatever projects which I talked about. uh, it's geotechnical investigations, geotechnical parameters has to be established using standard code. So once you do an investigation, you get a factual data. The factual data has to be used to get a characteristic strength parameters and stiffness parameters. You need to do a proper slope stability analysis for all these embankments and bunds when you create it. You need to do a proper shallow foundation design. For example, you have a bridge, right? It's standing on abutment, but that abutment is bound to settle because the soil below is not good, or there's a soft clay or something. So you have to drive piles. So when you do just an abutment, then it's a shallow foundation design. When you have to drive piles, then it falls on a pile foundation. Then you have to do a deep foundation design. Again, for both shallow and deep, you have to do a proper settlement analysis, see that what is the overall stability. Again, you have two part points of the bridges. It should not happen that one is bent, then you get differential settlement. um, so all these things is important. Then there's ground movement assessment which you have to do. So when you are actually um, when you're doing a tunnel, you have to see that what is happening in the ground overhead. There should be a proper ground movement assessment when you're doing that. Then there's a multidisciplinary interaction, electrical, mechanical, and then HVAC, if you, heating ventilation is being provided in these terms, then that too. So you need to interact with these different disciplines as a geotech engineer. See to it that whether the requirements are met. People sometimes think that geotech is just involved with the um, let's just say they are involved with just settlement and foundation design. It's not like that. If a earthing cable is needed for such infrastructure, then you have to see what is the whether that particular earthing cable can whether it has to be soil required, has to be forms a very important factor. So multidisciplinary interaction is required in for such huge infrastructure. Uh, uh, when you do that, keep in mind, because multidisciplinary would actually play a very important role in this type of projects. Yeah, that actually uh, so uh, uh, I, uh, I know my presentation is up 7:48 or 7:50. I'm supposed to give 10 or 15 minutes break. I'm going to stop now because I actually have talked about sustainability and also talked about the transportation part of the business unit where the geotechnical engineering comes and where we can actually help. But if you have any queries now at this for this part of the session, you can ask, and I will try to answer. Otherwise, we can go for a 15 minutes break. Now it's 7:50, so we can again meet at maybe 8 o'clock, if everyone is fine, maybe, or 8:05, so that I can continue with the rest of the topic, because I almost finished. Let me see. I finished 11 slides out of 23, so almost reached half. Um, so Sarunan, if you feel, then we can continue after the break.
Yes, sir. We can continue as per your suggestion at 8 p.m., sir.
Okay, 8:05. Okay, I'll be there.
Okay.
And if anyone has questions, they can even put in the chat box. There's a chat box, and I will try to answer them once, after the 8:05 session, if that is okay. Yeah.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Hello.
Yes, sure, sir.
Sure.
We can have
Okay.
the
Okay.
interaction on in
Thank
the
you,
part
guys.
two.
But yeah, for others, feel free to ask questions, because again, like I told, I don't want this to be like just a 2 hour session or something like that. Feel free to interact. We can even close 15 minutes before also. But please interact and put questions in the chat box, or even just directly ask me, unmute and ask me, and I will try to answer. But we'll meet at 8:05. Then thank you. Thank you.
ஹலோ. ஆமா. பிஇ அதான் பிஇ இங்க தான் பண்ணாரு. பண்ணாருன்னா, நம்ம ஏஜ் குரூப் ஆமா. அந்த டைம்ல.